Wow, good evening, everyone. I want to thank you all for being here, and I want to thank all these amazing speakers. I want to thank April as well. I was just supposed to come tonight to watch her, but I came to check out one of Winston's events. We got to talking, and here I am. So it's all your fault, April. I want to, this evening, dedicate my story to a very special woman in my life. This woman has been a mentor to me. She has inspired me. She exemplifies courage and bravery. And she has taught me that in life, when you find yourself on top of a mountain, on a cliff, looking down into nothing, she's taught me to jump, to take that leap of faith and jump, because you can soar. And through soaring, you discover love and support and a lot of wonderful things. So my story tonight is dedicated to Lucia, at Dress for Success, Vancouver. There's a few of us out here who know her very well. This is for you, Lucia. How many of you here are familiar with that old saying, you can run, but you can't hide? Anybody? We all know it, right? Those fighting words were uttered by American boxer Joe Louis just before taking on and beating reigning champ Billy Kong back in 1946. This phrase literally means that there is nothing that you can do to escape me in the end. I spent many years of my life running to escape me until one day there was nowhere left for me to run to. I grew up in the hub of Montreal's Greek urban ghetto. This tightly knit community was founded in the early 1950s when immigrants fled abroad post-war in hopes of a better life. Despite the passing of years, time stood still in this segregated community where language, traditions, and values were fiercely guarded. And it's in this time capsule that I lived out my childhood and my early adolescence. My father, he was the gatekeeper of customs in our family. He restricted the use of English in our home and enrolled me in Greek school in the evenings. Despite being Canadian-born, I struggled to speak and to write English. My dream, it was simple. I just wanted to be an ordinary Canadian kid. That's all. But for me, this never happened. On the contrary, I was teased for my shyness, for having an accent, for wearing hand-me-downs. I was that odd little Greek girl caught between two contrasting worlds, never feeling like I belonged to one or the other. Eventually, for me, these two worlds collided and they crashed. And when that happened, I couldn't breathe anymore. I had suffered a full-blown anxiety attack and ended up in the emergency at the hospital. This anxiety attack wouldn't be my last either. Throughout my university, my appointments with the medical professionals continued. The person that I blamed for my suffering, it was my father. My father was stern and imposing. And he passed away when I was in my 20s. And when he did, I was glad. I felt that finally I could relax and breathe and allow my wounds, my emotional wounds, to finally start healing. When I went into my 30s, I met and became engaged with a man whose family lived in BC. This was my opportunity to finally escape my Greek family and my Greek community, and I seized it. I took it and I ran as far across the country as I could possibly go, not stopping until I reached Vancouver Island. Geographical distance was the space that my soul craved to step back and reflect on my cultural identity. What was I? Was I Greek? Was I Canadian? I was confused. I had no idea what I was. Despite resenting my father and blaming him, I found a beach and I sat on that beach every day, day in and day out, and I mourned the loss of my father and the conversations we never had, the conversations we would never have. The West Coast for me symbolized a new chapter in my life, filled with new possibilities. I discovered my passion for poetry writing and broadcast. I launched a film screening club. I made lots of cool new friends. My best friend, she was captivated by my quest for cultural identity. And she came up to me and she proposed this crazy idea that we document my search for answers on film. No way. I looked at her and I said, "You're crazy. This is so not happening." But she convinced me otherwise. So together with the volunteer efforts of talented friends, we created the documentary Stella's Journey. And that documentary was screened in 3 festivals in BC that summer. The film ended with me and my film crew dancing kalamatianos. Kalamatianos is a popular Greek folk dance. It's danced in a circle, whereby the lead dancer holds the second dancer in line using a white handkerchief, allowing him or her to perform elaborate steps. I was the lead dancer. So I ran back home and I looked through my things trying to find that white handkerchief, and I grabbed the only thing I can find, a scarf. This'll do, I thought to myself. Stella's Journey made the front page of the local newspaper the very next day. I was ecstatic. I opened up the paper and I read my interview with the press, and then I gazed at the photo of me and my film crew dancing kalamatianos, my hand held high, clutching the scarf. And then it hit me. It hit me like a boxer's punch to the gut. I was clutching my father's cherished scarf that had traveled with him all the way from Greece to Montreal, and later in life with me from Montreal to Vancouver Island. My father was still with me. My father had always been with me. And at that moment, I had a breakthrough realization. And that realization was that all of the pain, all of the suffering, the soul-searching questions, all of that adversity had been necessary in my life to direct me to that very exact moment, that very exact chapter in my life. And for the first time, I felt in my soul a genuine sense of peace. I felt that I didn't need to run anymore. I had finally arrived home. Thank you.